The first duty of government is to protect our rights.
It's our job to maintain the proper role of government in what we were tasked to do.
If you really want to doge, this is how you doge. You don't vote for bad legislation that expands government. Thank you.
Now we're talking about taxpayer money, and we're talking about accountability. It is their money. This isn't a government program we're actually spending on. We're actually giving it back to the people of Idaho.
There's other options for making our ballots more secure, such as using watermarks or putting holograms on the ballots.
And I think that that's what we need to look at more, is trying to get back to what we used to be, where our churches and our families took care of each other instead of relying on the state.
I asked the question rhetorically, if we gave them another $1 billion, they wouldn't be happy. Well, we've given them $2 more billion, and it's not enough.
We need to start making Idaho first. We need to start making America first.
Other states like Texas and Florida have enacted similar laws to address illegal immigration, both locally and in their communities. And Idaho has the right to protect itself when the federal government has failed to do that.
COVID presented us with quite the enigma. We didn't really know what it was or what to do, but that is no excuse to violate the rights of the citizens of the state of Idaho.
Say vote no on this and let the teachers teach and quit bringing in coaches to teach the teachers to teach, and let's get education going again in Idaho.
I don't know what's coming after this current administration for the feds, and we need this law because our federal laws on immigration have failed.
Mr. President, I think it's incumbent upon us to allow parents to use their hard-earned dollars to provide what's best for their children.
If I was looking at a business and I was looking at these figures, there would be heads rolling because this is unsustainable.
My concern is that the resilience of Idahoans who believe in self-reliance and self-responsibility will be eroded.
We need to be protecting our First Amendment rights, not inventing ways to slowly chip away at them.
The First Amendment and our freedom of religion, freedom of speech are our first liberties. They are so important. We don't have the rest without them.
Yeah, watch it.
Well, good morning, everybody. You know, it never fails. As soon as I make one slight move, my earpiece just falls out. I could be sitting here, guys, for like with our team for like 20 minutes, and it's like perfect. And then as soon as we go live, it like pops around. Anyway, good morning, everybody. Idaho Signal is on the air, and it is January 27, 2026. I am Matt Edwards. Well, let's get right into it, folks, shall we? Because something extraordinary is happening in our state capitol right now that we haven't seen in a long, long time, perhaps. You walk into the Statehouse today and you look at the committee chairs and vice chairs and the leadership posts and some of that, and you see a large number of them are held by sophomore and freshman legislators who rode in on the wave of voter frustration with business as usual the past two elections. 4 years ago, just 4 years ago in 2022, it's absolutely night and day. Back then, the committees were still dominated by the go-along to get-along crowd, the ones who'd been there forever and had gotten real comfortable with incrementalism and compromise and so forth. Today, the energy is a bit different. The conservatives finally have some leverage, and it needs to be wielded. We cannot waste a single day. If you're a conservative who's been waiting for the moment to actually get things done, this is it. Not the next session, not after the next election, right now. Shock and awe. Move fast, move bold, and get the big stuff across the finish line before the establishment machine figures out how to reboot. Because make no mistake, the empire will strike back. They always do. The moderates, the lobbyists, the permanent political class, they don't have better ideas. They don't have the voters on their side anymore. What they do have is intimidation. They have lawfare. That's their playbook now. You pass a strong bill protecting kids from radical gender ideology in school, they'll warn of lawsuits before the ink's dry. Try to secure an off-ramp for parents to provide better education for their children. They'll sue the state itself and bleed taxpayers dry while nothing changes. We must not succumb to the same cowardice that we see in D.C. right now. The Republicans in Washington have the White House, the House, and the Senate. The trifecta, they call it. And what are they doing with it? They're whining that they need 60 votes to get anything big done in the Senate because they're terrified of a Democrat filibuster. Give me a break. They're lying to the American people. They don't need 60 votes if they're willing to use the tools that the rules give them. But they're scared. They're scared of being called mean. They're scared of the media. They're scared of actually governing like they promised. Or they just don't believe in anything that they even say or what they give to the people. Idaho conservatives cannot make the same mistake. We have the numbers right now. We have the posts. We have our charge. We have the momentum. And if we dawdle, if we settle for half measures and messaging bills, the window is going to close. The establishment will regroup. The lawsuits will multiply, and we'll be right back to the same tired excuses. So what do? We go big, and we go together. First, you actually cut spending. Not this whole, we'll cut the rate of growth, blah, blah, blah. No, baseline, no baseline budgeting tricks. No, the real cuts. Go through the budget, eliminate the waste, eliminate the fraud, the non-essential things. Remember that phrase, non-essential? It was so important for them opposing that phrase on us. But now when we look to government and say, what about your non-essential items? It's verboten. Wait till you see some of the footage we have of what's playing out in JFAC and some of these committees. It's extraordinary. Second thing, do something strong and serious about illegal immigration and the illegal workforce that's undercutting Idaho wages. It's straining our schools, hospitals, our neighborhoods. We need to secure the border where we can at the state level. Crack down on employers who knowingly hire illegals and protect American workers, Idaho workers first. And third, we need to deliver real relief for families. Property taxes are crushing people. We need to cut all the taxes that hit hardworking families first. And when you save the taxpayers' money by cutting a program, give the money back. Don't find something else to spend it on. We'll show you an example of that today, too. This isn't radical. This is what people voted for. And here's the part where I need every one of you listening right now. Pick up your phone, call or email your legislators, especially the ones who signed the pledge. Tell them that you watch Idaho Signal and tell them that you expect them to work together and not fracture over petty stuff. Tell them to stay united, move fast, swift, and get the big wins while we still have a chance. Because if we don't, folks, if we don't, this state will find itself getting diverted back onto the road to serfdom. And 4 years from now, we'll be sitting here wondering how we let this golden opportunity slip away. Let us not blow it. So let's get right into it. We have a bunch of clips from committees yesterday and the day before. Something in my eye that happens. Yesterday, there were a bunch of stuff in committees we want to get to. This morning in JFAC, there was stuff going on. Then this morning in committees, there was stuff going on. We got clips galore to show you, and we're going to get right into it. So yesterday, during the Senate Judiciary Committee, Senator Dan Foreman presented what is it called again? The Constitutional Courts Act. There it is, the Constitutional Courts Act. I'll give you a little background on this in a bit, but let's basically what we're trying to do here is, and I'll cut right to the chase. It's to ban Sharia law in Idaho. Other states are doing it. We're seeing that this is a topic that has risen to the top quickly because of what we're seeing in other places around the country. And so here's the bill that essentially would say Sharia law and any of the other of the garbage like that is not going to happen here in Idaho. Let's watch. Let's take a moment. It's a few minutes long. I want you to hear the breadth of Foreman's pitch here on the Constitutional Courts Act. Here's Senator Dan Foreman.
Foreman, Senator District 6, and I'm here to present RS 32880C1, known as the Constitutional Constitutional Courts Act. This legislation creates a new section 1-1626 of Idaho Code. Constitutional Courts Act states that no state court at any level of jurisdiction or authority shall enforce, consider, or apply any judgment, decree, ruling, or decision of arbitration based on a body of religious or cultural law that does not fully support and conform to the rights of citizens as defined in the United States Constitution and the Constitution of the State of Idaho. The Constitutional Courts Act does not seek to ban any body of religious law or body of rules as applied to the day-to-day application of such in the private lives of citizens. Article 6 of the U.S. Constitution, known as the Supremacy Clause, holds that the Constitution and laws of the United States are the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. The First Amendment to the Constitution states Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Article 1, Section 1 of the Idaho Constitution states all men are by nature free and equal. Article 1, Section 4 of the state constitution says the exercise and enjoyment of religious faith and worship shall forever be guaranteed, and no person shall be denied any civil or political right, privilege, or capacity on account of his religious opinions. I have a few examples of religious and cultural law. In Hinduism, they have the concept of dharma, which embodies ethical obligations, caste-related rituals, marriage practices, and general individual behavior in society. In Jewish law, they have halakha, which covers many things influencing Jewish society, including dietary laws known as the kashrut, marriage, divorce, and family matters. Saudi Arabia, Sharia courts mandate that issues like marriage, divorce, and inheritance are handled in accordance with Islamic law. Sharia law governs family matters, finance, and food preparation, and its halal food preparation rules prohibit certain types of food. Sharia law also controls the criminal justice system, mandating capital punishment for certain offenses. Now, the states of Alabama, Arizona, Kansas, Louisiana, North Carolina, South Dakota, and Tennessee have all passed legislation banning religious or cultural laws from being used in their state courts. The Constitutional Courts Act, again, does not seek to discriminate against any body of citizens based on religious or faith-based grounds. It proposes no restrictions on the private practice of any religion and is therefore in support of the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. The Act also directly supports the Supremacy Clause of the Constitution by supporting the mandate that the U.S. Constitution and U.S. federal law constitute the supreme law of the land. This legislation has been fully coordinated with the Idaho Supreme Court and the Idaho Attorney General's office, and both offices advise they have no concerns with the legislation as written. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Senator Foreman. Appreciate the presentation. Senators, any questions for Senator Foreman?
Okay. Yes, there are questions for Senator Foreman. We'll get to some of those in a second here. But just to basically sum up, you saw there how there's something to be said here about just walking in and saying we will ban Sharia law from ever being used in our court system here in Idaho. You could simply write a bill that says that, but then it has all of this appearance. Well, what about all these other outside influences and restrictions and all the things that he laid out here that happen elsewhere, and so, in other religions and cultures and such. And so this is their way of doing it, in a very succinct manner. And I think Senator Foreman laid it out pretty well here. We haven't seen the bill yet. This was presented yesterday. I haven't gotten a chance to read it fully myself yet and have our team analyze it yet to see exactly what it is. Maybe there's already folks out there doing that. So we'll get to that in a few moments here. But this was during the print hearing yesterday, and like clockwork, the Democrat, Senator Wintrow, she just loves to play the dumb role and just, I really don't understand what any of this means and what you're talking about. And that's either because we truly do live in parallel universes, and the Democrats have, we're watching two completely different films, and she has no idea what any of this truly means. Or B, she actually knows the answers to her question, and she's trying to solicit a trap or set a trap for Foreman here or anything. But let's it's all this spike, bro. Yeah, let's watch producers. I got funny producers on this program, everybody. Let's watch the exchange.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Senator Foreman. I apologize, but I'm not sure could you in lay terms tell me what you're trying to do with this bill?
Senator Foreman.
Like an example.
Mr. Chairman and Senator Wintrow, what you see is what you get with the bill. I'm not trying to prevent anybody from engaging in their private practice of religion, and I'm not trying to run roughshod over anybody's political or religious beliefs. But this bill seeks to accomplish exactly what it says. It will prevent any body of religious or cultural law from being used, in essence, to replace the law that we already have in our state courts.
Okay.
Senator... Nope. Okay. Senator Shippey.
Okay, that answers that question. All right, but in all seriousness, let's move over to Senator Shippey's line of questioning here, because it was a very I think a very wise question to ask, and once again Foreman delivers on the answer here. Let's take it in, folks. Watch this.
Nope. Okay, Senator Shippey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator Foreman. So if I'm understanding this right, then if it was in Idaho code, for example, even if it was a law perhaps founded on a religious position, it would still then be enforceable. I'm thinking of perhaps historically many states had blasphemy laws, and they had criminal penalties associated with that. If those were on the books in Idaho, it wouldn't necessarily be addressing that. Am I understanding that correct?
Senator Foreman.
Mr. Chairman, Senator Shippey, you're correct. Our body of laws have evolved over the last 250 years, and if you trace their ancestral roots, if you will, it goes back much farther than that. What you see is what you get. In terms of the law, we have an existing body of law. We have a system of courts that works for us. And the original bodies of law that we employed in this country were based on religious underpinnings. That's undeniable. Judeo-Christian ethics and religious beliefs were interwoven into our system of laws. That is as it is. And this bill seeks to acknowledge that and not allow some other body of law that evolved somewhere else at some other time to come in and replace the body of laws and the system of justice that we have in this country. So yes, our laws do recognize religious beliefs, and they're interwoven into our justice system, and this legislation doesn't challenge that.
You have another question, Senator? Go ahead, follow up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator Foreman, so practically speaking, what does this change? Are individuals or groups able to come into our state courts, any of our state court systems, and enforce other laws today, or is that something that's on the horizon? Or if you could maybe just help me out a little bit there.
Senator Foreman.
Mr. Chairman, Senator Shippey, to the best of my knowledge, you can't come into a state court in the great state of Idaho and, for example, say, I belong to this group, whatever it might be, religious or cultural, so I want to be judged strictly by these laws that I'm bringing in and presenting to the court. I don't know that that's happening in the state of Idaho. There are things on the horizon that, in terms of my presentation today, I don't want to get that deep into it or that specific, but there are reasons why a number of other states have passed very similar legislation. We're kind of living in an era where we're passing legislation to say, please do what that other legislation says, or please do what the Constitution says. Now, in a sense, there's a built-in redundancy there. And in a perfect world, we shouldn't have to do that. But if you look back over COVID and other situations, we have felt the need to, by way of clarification, say, take a look at the Constitution or take a look at this existing code and make sure you follow it. So it's preemptive in a sense. It's a reiteration of the fact that we have a justice system here, and it's based on our body of laws, and we bring that body of laws to life every day in our courts, and we don't want to replace that. We're not saying it couldn't be better or that along the line it'll be modified, but will be done so in degree, not wholesale change with the importation of somebody else's body of laws that evolved somewhere else.
Go ahead, Senator.
Yeah. Again, fascinating conversation there. And there was another question that was brought up by a Democrat, Ruckty, who basically Senator Foreman had already pointed it out, that like we're in this phase right now in our country where you would think that the laws that have already been expressed in the Constitution and in statute that our leaders would just, our elected officials and so forth would just follow them, but they don't. And so you kind of feel like, okay, we have to come over the top now and expressly say that this you can't do or this shall not happen. Even though somewhere else in code it says, well, in our articles of faith, the articles of the Declaration of Rights, like it simply says, we will follow our own Constitution. We will not succumb to any other foreign influence and anything like that. And then when those things come in, they find the people arguing for them, claiming all sorts of different rights, and now we have to sit here and rewrite things and add things that say, no, expressly you cannot do this. It's the same thing with COVID and all the things that happened during the pandemic. It was clearly violating our rights, but we had to come over the top and say, you are not allowed to shut down a church simply because you think people are going to get sick. You cannot prevent people from gathering. That's literally our Constitution. You cannot prevent peaceful assembly of people. That is what this country is all about. Period. But there were people in positions of power that said, no, we're going to do it anyway. And so now, like I said at the top of the broadcast here, a wave of people that are there to reiterate exactly what is lawful and what is not, and putting things into place. Obviously, Senator Dan Foreman ran the Idaho Medical Freedom Act last session, which had, it was an amazing battle at the end when it got vetoed at the end of session. and then there was a huge scramble to get that new version across the line. And it's actually a fascinating story about the power plays and the things that happen behind the scenes in order to get that bill across the finish line. It really is a it's fascinating. It's fascinating to see the sausage being made back there, and there, hopefully that whole story will come out one day, and we'll be able to help present that. Okay, so that's what happened with that bill. It passed on to being printed unanimously, and so by the committee. So it is now a bill. I'm not quite sure if we have a bill number on it yet, but we'll find out. But one of the things, there it is, Senate Bill 12, well, maybe not, I don't know, I'm watching the thing over here. Senate Bill 1223, the Constitutional Courts Act, if you want to go look it up and read it yourself. Okay, one of the other things that happened yesterday was a representative presenting a bill that would basically no longer require you to have those DMV stickers on your license plate. When you re-register your vehicle, you get those stickers that you have to apply to your license plate. And I have an interesting moment happened here for me while watching this, because I think it's a great idea. But let's watch the presentation on this.
Or in Madison County, I'm pleased to introduce RS 32984. The purpose of the legislation is to remove the requirement that vehicles display a registration sticker when registration is required. This clarifies that a valid license plate and vehicle registrations are sufficient for the vehicle to be lawful and operate on Idaho roadways. This came about when I registered my personal vehicle, and I was handed the stickers, and the thought triggered in my mind. I'm thinking, why are we doing this? And as I studied this out and realized that how many vehicles, either you couldn't read the sticker, it wasn't on the plate, or it was covered up. And as I studied this more, that at any given time, there are 3 colored stickers that are valid in the state of Idaho. It's a red, white, and blue, depending on how you register your vehicle. Given all that, and realizing that there could be an estimated $300,000 save transfer, it stays with the department, that money could be freed up to use in another program. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to answer questions, and if choose to be printed, I'll be happy to present back. So,
thank you, Representative Harris.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just for a couple questions. Representative.
Yes.
Thanks for being here. Appreciate this.
Thank you.
I kind of like the idea. Just a couple quick ones. Where's law enforcement at on this?
Representative Weber.
Mr. Chairman, great question. Talk to ISP and the sheriffs and the police. They're all over the board. When you talk to, depending on who you talk to, particularly one-on-one, which is interesting, there is always a follow-up when, first, if they can identify that the car is actually not registered or expired, they will always run the plate. And if they're already running the plate and using technology, then why the expense? And Idaho always prides itself on being innovative and reducing red tape, if you will. This is a program that could certainly fit that category.
Do you have another question, Representative Harris?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, just one follow-up. Have you, Representative Weber, have you thought about rolling the Parks Pass into this as well?
Representative Weber.
Mr. Chairman, Representative Harris, it was talked about. It is a totally separate program. At this time, I think moving forward, you may hear rumblings about that and ideas, but at this time, no.
Representative Monks.
All right, good. Some good questioning there from Representative Kyle Harris, especially on the law enforcement aspect of it. But All for it. All for getting rid of these stickers and saving some money. Can we scroll back to that moment though when he mentioned how we would save this money? Yeah, let's watch this here.
And as I studied this out and realized that how many vehicles either you couldn't read the sticker, it wasn't on the plate, or it was covered up. And as I studied this more, that at any given time, there are 3 colored stickers that are valid in the state of Idaho. It's a red, white, and blue, depending on how you register your vehicle. Given all that, and realizing that there could be an estimated $300,000 save transfer, it stays with the department, that money could be freed up to use in another program. So with that.
Did you catch that, folks? Did you catch that? Save $300,000 that we can then use somewhere else because we just want to keep using your money. No. It goes back to the taxpayer. It goes back to the taxpayer. Put it back in the general fund and then pay off property tax so people don't have to pay more property taxes, right? Give it back to the people. No. He just wants to say, oh, we saved money here. Let's go spend it and do something over here. No. We don't need the sticker program anymore. Fantastic. How much does it cost? It costs $300,000 to do it. Great. Save it. Boom. Done. Every year, right? It's $300,000 every year. Done. Boom. Chunk. Mark it off the list. Send it back to the people. Folks, this is why we need people to run who have that mentality. Not like, oh, now we just get to walk around and buy something new, right? Like spend it, send it back elsewhere. Or don't come up with these stupid programs to begin with, right? Let's do that. Not that this was stupid in the beginning, but technology has advanced, right? And so now they don't need it anymore, just like he said that. But anyway, just a little example there of the mindset of that we see. Okay, let's do this. Let's take a break. We're going to take a break. I want to share with you this video. There's something called the Syringa Speaker Series happening in Boise, coming up in about a month or so. And it's going to be a fantastic event. And we have a special advertisement for that here that we want to share with you. And so I'm gonna let them take it away, and then we'll be back right after the break. Check it out.
Hey Idaho, I'm Dan McKnight, a member of the board of the Syringa Speaker Series, and I'm going to say something out loud that way too many people are afraid to say. Our kids are under attack, not just in obvious ways, but online, in schools, in culture, and even inside of institutions that are supposed to protect them. We are watching children get pulled into things that they don't understand, pressured into things they can't consent to, and exposed to content no child should ever see. And here's the truth. Protecting children, it should not be controversial. It shouldn't be right-wing or left-wing. It should be human being. And that's why on Saturday, February 28th, the Syringa Speaker Series is bringing 3 powerhouse voices to Boise for our annual gala. First is Liz Wheeler, one of the most influential conservative commentators in the country. She is fearless and she is sharp. Her show on Blaze TV and her book, Hide Your Children, Exposing the Marxists Behind the Attack on America's Kids, is a must-read for all parents. Second, Chloe Cole. Chloe's story is one of the most important in America right now. She medically transitioned as a minor, and she later detransitioned. Now she travels the country warning parents and lawmakers about what happens when adults push kids into permanent decisions they're not ready to make. She's not speaking in theories. She's telling the truth about what it costs and why we have to protect kids before it's too late. And third is Joe Concha, our master of ceremonies. Joe is a Fox News contributor, a best-selling author, and one of the funniest and quickest voices in political commentary. He's going to keep the night moving and engaging, and he will bring some much-needed clarity and levity to a very serious topic. The gala is called Protecting the Next Generation, and it's happening at the Boise Center on February 28th. Tickets, sponsorships, and VIP opportunities are on sale now, and you can also sponsor a student table and help bring the next generation of conservative leaders into the room. Protecting the Next Generation. Get your tickets now at syringaspeakerseries.org and join the coalition of parents, patriots, and everyday Idahoans who are drawing the line and protecting the next generation.
now got video.
Idaho is the dirt under your fingernails after an honest day's work. Idaho is the hug around your neck when your daughter spells her first word. Idaho is the written word of the law, steadfast and impartial, guarding liberty for all. Idaho is the family rifle passed down, a legacy of protection and the right to stand firm. Idaho is the echo of your own voice, unshaken and free, standing tall among a world silenced. Idaho is the home that's built to weather storms, not empty wallets. Idaho is the quiet trust between a patient and healer, unbroken and sacred. Idaho is the hymn carried by the Spirit, gathering neighbors together in faith and purpose. Idaho is the laughter around a campfire, a family's bond growing stronger with every word. Idaho is the pioneer's will, firm and clear. We govern ourselves, free and unbound. Idaho is what America was. Let's keep it that way. Ask your legislator to sign the Citizens Alliance of Idaho pledge to preserve our shared values. We ride together.
From the rolling wheat fields of the Palouse to the white water runs on the pass-through. Golden potatoes, farmers stand strong. Cattle and dairy, they're feeding us all. From boys and nights with a bright city glow to Coeur lanes, calm waters below. Spotty buddy waves with a smile so wide, sharing our story with American pride. So raise that flag, let freedom fly. Echo liberty from plains to mountains high. America's heart beats red, white, and blue. 250 years true. Idaho proud. Red, white, blue.
All right, this is the committee calendar, the agendas that are happening in the committee. You can go to the legislative website, scroll through here, and you'll see exactly where these committees are being held, what time, the day, and what is on the agenda. So that's what's going on tomorrow. Very good, folks. All right, we can cut out of here. Let's get to it. We have Brian Allman with us. Brian, it is good to see you. You're in the Capitol. Are you on the west side or the east side?
I am on the east side right now, on the House side. You can see behind me the House of Representatives from, I believe it's 1965, back before they invented color. So it was, I guess, pretty gray back then.
Yeah, pretty gray. All right. Well, I want to get into some stuff that happened in JFAC this morning, the Joint Finance Appropriations Committee, specifically on this whole child welfare, child care center, stuff that's been hitting the news and everything. Just a real quick, we found out obviously last year they passed a $14 million grant from the feds to help get startups with and help the child care centers here in Idaho. And then when this whole thing in Minnesota exploded, they put a pause and they said, don't spend any of that money. And the health and welfare said, we haven't doled it out yet. And so we're going to look into all this. Well, this morning was that conversation, because not only have they not spent that $14 million, they came in this morning asking for like 15 or 16 million for the budget next year, which caught everybody by surprise. So let's take a look at the first clip here. This was because there was a bunch of things to talk about from this meeting. But let's start with Senator Glenita Zeiderveld and her question to who was it, Juliette Sharon here from the Department of Health and Welfare. Let's listen to her clip on asking about the positions and the fraud going on.
My first question is on the full-time employees. There's one position for a fraud investigator position that will act as program integrity staff. That's on page 24. I was just wondering if you can kind of give us a little bit more detail, and is it because of is there a lot of fraud that we need to have this position now? And then after that, I have a request after you answer that.
Director.
Mr. Chairman, Senator Zeiderveld, thanks for the question. So in this request, as you noted, we have a request for a fraud investigator, but 4 other positions. And I would say all 5 of those positions that are now part of the ICCP request are for program integrity. I think everyone is well aware that we have some work underway currently to do what I'm calling a 360 review of every single child care provider in the ICCP program. Historical staffing or current staffing levels have only supported the department's ability to review or audit approximately 25% of providers per year, and also beneficiaries of ICCP funding, so families also receiving the funding. We, and I think the legislature has made clear, we all collectively want to make sure that funds are going to the places that they should be going, and they should be used appropriately. And we need to be rooting out fraud, waste, and abuse. The reflection of the 5 positions is not to say that we have, or I can confidently share with you all today, we have X percentage of fraud in the program. It is to say we agree that we need to have the requisite resources to safeguard those funds and to ensure that they are going to the appropriate places.
Okay.
4
All right.
staff today currently.
Brian. I don't want to take it out on you, my friend, but what are we doing? She's saying we need 5 people. We need to hire 5 people to do this 360 audit to make sure that the money is being spent correctly. I'm sorry, isn't that your job already?
Well, you'd think so. This is a big sprawling program, and it gets bigger and more sprawling each year. And across the country, we're seeing that investigations are happening not via the states, not via the agencies, but via random people with spreadsheets and people with cameras and YouTube accounts, like obviously Nick Shirley over in Minnesota. And that is something I remember a few weeks ago in the first week of JFAC. We were talking about how audits showed that the internal controls on these things are not quite what they should be. And there were lots of different findings and discussions on that. But that is the question. We've got this big government program where we're spending all this money, but to make sure that it goes to the right place, we need to spend more money and hire more people. Well, maybe we need to step back and reevaluate exactly what we're doing here.
Yes, I mean, I want to say I'm flabbergasted by it, but once again, it's like this is somebody who is a bureaucrat, works within the system and says, well, if you want us to do more of this work, then we're going to need more people. I'm going to need more money. And it boggles the mind that they have this sort of compartmentalization where they can't they can't read the room. I mean, imagine thinking, oh, today I'll just go in and ask for more money. Do you not pay attention to what is going on in the world and the reaction that you're going to get? I mean, I hate to take it out on her, but this is abhorrent, absolutely abhorrent. So, okay, so that was the question. That was her answer. Senator Zeiderveld also had a request. Let's listen to what her request is.
I was wondering, since we are the Joint Finance Appropriation Committee, and that's part of our job to do deep dives and Doge, basically, could I get a list of the providers in this program, and maybe I can help you out with that?
Director.
Mr. Chairman, Senator Zeiderveld, I'd be happy to provide listing of provider information to you, and also happy now or at a later date to provide an update as to where we're at with our 360 review, what work is underway, and kind of how we're going about that work.
Okay, yeah, great. That's great, yeah. But, I mean, kudos to Senator Zeiderveld. Like, why don't you give me the list? I'll give you a little bit of a help, right?
Well, and that's maybe what we need to do. And that's what a lot of folks have been doing over the past month or two, ever since the big news in Minnesota broke, is digging through the list of providers here in Idaho and figuring out, all right, how much money are they being given as direct subsidies? How much money is coming to them through the Idaho Child Care Program, which subsidizes families to send their children to daycare? How much other welfare is being showered on things? Obviously, I wrote at the Gem State Chronicle about a couple of ones that I found. One was a woman from Tanzania started up an in-home daycare, or not an in-home daycare, it was in a rented building, but it was still very small, like just a handful of children. And yet somehow she received $750,000 from Department of Health and Welfare over a 4-year period. That's, I'm not going to the point of saying there is fraud. There likely is, but it should raise some questions both on the funding side, where is all this money going that JFAC is appropriating, but then also on the policy side. Have we created a system that incentivizes people to do whatever they can to funnel as much of that money to themselves and their friends?
Yeah, exactly. I've seen your work on this. We've seen other people online. We've seen semi-famous bar owners even going around town looking at this. I don't recommend everybody go out and do that. I mean, what we should be doing is just look at the data, look at the numbers, raise the questions, and notify the authorities, notify the proper people, and see if we can root this out. What we don't do is just say, let's just start a whole new department called the fraud department in our division, a fraud division in our department, and we'll hire 5 people to go out. We'll give them a budget. We'll give them expenses. We'll give them, a nice long timeline to do their 360 review. We have all these reports. We have all these things. It's like, good God, people, how about this? End the program. They want another $16 million going into for the next budget on this. Let's watch. Is it Representative Chris Bruce who raises some of these questions? Let's ride into this clip.
The first tranche of money that we allocated to it, what did that get us? How many providers, how many children do we serve? I'm just trying to wrap my head around what 16 million will do if we allocate that to you again.
Director.
Mr. Chairman, Representative Bruce, we have not yet executed or released the 14 million that was appropriated by the legislature last year. And that is because a couple of things. One, we have been working to make sure that we really followed and clearly adhered to the intent language that this body included attached to that 14 million last year. And now we also have this investigation work, which I was speaking to Senator Zeiderveld's question. We have this 360 review underway. So all of our staff resources for the ICCP program at this time are focused on that 360 review before we proceed with the 14 million. I think there's still some question as to when that 14 million may be released for providers to apply for that opportunity. And I would say that I think that the department, we hope to get a little farther down the road with our review work and to revisit that with the legislature in the coming weeks. We are only about a few weeks underway at this point with the review work. And while our team has done a lot of good work, there's still things to be done. And so I think before we feel like we are ready to proceed with that 14 million, and I think also, concerns that have been raised.
Okay. Brian. So we haven't spent the money yet, but we need more money next year because we have a feeling we're going to do great. I mean, is that the mentality here?
I guess so. It must be great to work in government. So the debate last year, this was Senate Bill 1206, and it was an additional $14 million for child care subsidies, and not for existing places or not for the children attending, but for startups. For somebody wants to start a daycare in their community, this will give them a little bit of help to rent a building or put in a playground or bring it up to code for all the different compliance they have to have. And that was the rationale. And it was in following another bill that essentially deregulated the healthcare industry, took away some of the government regulations on it, allowing more people to perhaps do that. And I don't know if I would have voted for it, but I can see the rationale there. And now, before they've even spent a penny, they're coming back and asking for 16 million more. That's more than doubling what they've already been given and haven't even spent yet. Shouldn't we wait and see what the results are before we put another $16 million on the line? I worry that it starts going 14 million this year, 16 million next year. What are they going to ask for in 2027? Will this become just an ongoing appropriation? I don't think anybody. Well, I don't think conservatives want that.
Brian, you and I both have children. They sound like children. You're like, wait a minute. You want what now? What do you want? Go away. We just had Christmas. You have a toy.
Imagine if your child comes home with a failing grade in school, or they don't do their chores, and you ask, well, what can I do to help you do better at this, to get better grades or to remember to do your chores? And they say, well, if you raise my allowance, then I think that'll help.
Raise my allowance, and I need 5 of my friends to come over. You need to pay them as well, and we'll take care of everything for you. Exactly. All right. Well, Chris Bruce had another follow-up here. Let's watch that clip.
Follow-up, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Representative.
Thank you. And since you already have the 14 million sitting there, do we need to appropriate the other 16?
Director.
Mr. Chairman, Representative Bruce, I think it is still our hope and intent, as it has been the legislature's, I think, hope and intent to support provider capacity building in our state with the funds appropriated last session. So I think we're still hoping that those funds will be put out for providers to apply for in this state fiscal year. And we have the availability of the 16 million, about 15.5 million, absent the funding for program integrity positions going into the next year. I think we are all aware of the need, again, of childcare providers in our state, especially in rural communities, and also for other underserved populations. We know we need more providers for infants, for toddlers, and for children with disabilities as well. So I think it is still our request to support that work going into 27.
Brian, I guess that's going to be the true test here, is it? Is it the intent? Is it the intent of this committee to say, yeah, we do want to keep funding this? And that's where the rubber is going to meet the road here. Like, where's the battle? What's the battle going to be in this committee with that? What do the numbers look like? I mean, maybe we should bring up who's on this committee and where we think someone's going to go, you know what? You haven't spent that money, but I think we should spend more money next year anyway. Like, that's going to be the question for this particular line item. Is that not true?
Sure. And that's going to be the question on a lot of different budgets that JFAC is going to have to review. I mean, my gut feeling says that Representative Bruce and Senator Zeiderfeld might not be keen on this additional $16 million. But the question is how many other members of the committee are going to feel the same way. There's a long tradition in JFAC of just essentially being a rubber stamp. The agencies and the governor say, hey, I want this. And they say, okay, you got it. And that culture has been changing over the past few years, but has it changed enough? Has it changed to the point where they'll say, no, we don't think you've justified this, and we're not going to just hand you taxpayer dollars just because you really, 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 really want them.
And 5 more people on staff so that you can make sure that you're going to spend the money correctly, that it's not going to go out to fraud. I mean, I'm looking at the Senate makeup and the House makeup of JFAC, and it's 10 and 10. And so you need 5. It needs to be at least 5-5 for something to or 10-10, for something to fail.
And another quirk of JFAC is that in order for a budget bill to pass and go to the House or Senate floor, both sides, the House Appropriations half and the Senate Finance half, both have to have a majority. So if you have, say, a 9-1 majority on the Senate side, but a 4-6 failure on the House side, that bill would fail, even though technically it has a majority of the joint committee.
Right. So here's what I'm expecting. Not to name names yet, but I'm expecting that on the House side, you're going to see it go in a 5-5.
I think we'll see a couple of 5 or start to see a lot of 5-5 votes on the House side of JFAC this year.
Yeah, I think we're going to see that 5-5. It's all dependent on 1 or 2 people there. Well, that's the hope, man. I mean, I from everything that I just saw this morning, I think that this is horribly, what's the word? Inept.
It's just bad.
It is. It's bad. It's bad. And it's inept. I mean, it's like you're literally. Like, I get it. You're there to set the budget for the next fiscal year, right? So you come in with your requests. I get it. I get you're going to ask for the moon. You're going to ask for everything. It's what I would do if I was running my own department somewhere. Oh, do you have a lot of money? No, you don't. But you also got to read the tea leaves. You got to read the facts on the ground. You can't be so dense. And of course these agencies fighting. I mean, she might have come in and say, I heard you're going to save $300,000 with the sticker program over on the vehicle registration. Can I have that? At least come in with something like that. That I can respect. But this, asking for these types of things in this environment is just, kudos to you, I guess.
We can recognize that it's rational for somebody to do something while at the same time opposing it for ideological or moral reasons. So yeah, okay, ask for the moon, but then I expect JFAC to do its job and its due diligence and reject that request.
Yes, absolutely, and not have to, yeah, exactly. All right, too much time on this anyway. Yeah, we're definitely paying it. I mean, everybody's paying attention to this, so yeah. It's bizarre. All right, Brian, what do you have going on at the Chronicle today?
Well, I just posted one this morning on more code cleanup and administrative rules. It's a lot of people probably find it a very dry topic. I find it very interesting.
I was going to say
because
riveting.
Yeah, it covers all sorts of things. It's all these administrative rules that have the force of law that impact your business and your life and the way you go about your day. And it really represents a delegation of the authority to make laws, which we, the people, give to the legislature, and then the legislatures push it off to these administrative agencies, these bureaucracies. And I'm talking about ways we can bring it back and bring it back under the purview of our elected legislators where it belongs. And we've seen a lot of progress toward that. And I just saw Representative Ehlers had a bill, another bill regarding this. So it's going, it's moving, and we need to keep it going.
Good to hear it. All right, folks, follow him over there on X at Brian Allman. Brian, we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks, Matt.
All right. And folks, we want to hear from you. 402-4915. That, of course, is in the 208. 208-402-4915. Call us. That is our voicemail line. Leave us your message. Leave us your name and town, and we'll play it over the air. If you like to comment in the side over there, we want to hear your voice too, so leave us a comment. Our YouTube's blowing up over there. That's great. We're almost at 4,000. I mean, yesterday I was telling you we just passed 3,000. Now we're at 4,000. It's great to hear you're sharing the broadcast, and we certainly do appreciate it. IdahoSignal.live is where you can listen to the program while you're on the road and not use chunks up of your data. And we also want to thank our sponsor, AmericanSmokeCo.com. That's American Smoke Company, where you can get some smoked salts for your meats. I made some burgers the other night for the kids. We threw on some of the hickory salt. It was fantastic. All right, folks, we're going to see you tomorrow. We'll have the live country version of Forever Idaho take us out as we take a look at the Capitol. What was going on in the Capitol today? Some homeschoolers promoting homeschool freedom. Check it out.
I think it puts a stake in the ground that says we have a sovereign right to protect what's ours.